Good afternoon, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the desk here at the Smite Console League. It is me. My name is F. His name is Adonis.
Is your name F.
And we're going to get down to some of the fun stuff today. The #1 team in North America, they're already said and done as far as where they're going and their land is considered. They're #1 on top. It's Most Wanted. Them, Clow, and everybody else have been looking very strong this season, but they'll be taking on Noble.
And, you know, Noble, Lou, Grattywind, all of them, they had some potential in the early parts of the split. We really saw it, but kind of with SOAR getting their full roster back online, getting aggro, obviously Most Wanted and Eager being the consistent top cards as well. They've struggled a little bit to kind of chain together any, you know, kind of reasonable wins. The thing about this team is, though, you know, Kingdom will see them, you know, get stomped sometimes, like we saw in that game too. They have those early game dominance. They can't transition. Noble seems to always hang in it. That's one of the things. Even though they've only found 5 wins, there's a lot of games that are much closer than that for them.
That's it for me. Before and after, I think you could look at the squad as sort of a mid-range, mid-season split sort of, where they sort of changed around their roster a little bit. And Noble is a team that could always contend, both sides of their roster, can always contend with the top. Most Wanted, certainly one of those. So we'll see as we head into picks and bans where these teams are going to land and where they lie at the moment. Most Wanted is going to opt for the first pick, and we'll see them right off at the top, and they're going to ban first as well, Kevin.
I expect to see pretty standard bans here. You know, the Ratatosker, Susano. We actually did not see Raijin picked or banned in that last game. A little bit surprising, but maybe teams have stopped valuing him so high.
It's possible. I mean, the burst damage that comes out of Raijin is certainly a different story when combined with some of the junglers, like Ao Kwang, who brings some of his damage on his own right, can certainly be a little bit problematic. But as you said, people have drifted away from it, and I think it's because we've seen more setup compositions than anything else.
And speaking of setup, Nemesis actually banned away from XynoSure. We've seen how deadly he can be with that god, and he plays around Clow so well. And also, Nemesis is kind of like hidden mobile, right?
Sure.
And you're not like faster than any other junglers. You do have a double dash, but really it's about just being able to slow everyone and can chase everyone down in an engagement. So incredibly useful. Most Wanted, they are going to take away the most mobile jungler / Susano. You know, it's just Ratatosker though. Susano is open though if they want to first pick it, but a lot of times they actually look to prioritize Clow when he has, say, a Zeus open.
Right. I mean, Clow, the mid laner and the captain for this team, is I don't want to say a large god pool, but a god pool that certainly has a lot of, it's widespread through a lot of interesting picks.
Put it this way, Clow's god pool is large enough that you can put 4 bans into him, and he has his 5th.
Right.
And it's like never going to be anything else. It's always going to be the Zhong Kui, right? If you ban away his Zeus, his Raijin, his Isis, he's going to go to Zhong, right?
Or
That's
the
it.
Hades. I mean, we've seen the Hades mid.
Like once, I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that Clow, you can put a lot of bans against him, and he'll still have gods that he can play at a high level, but they're odd picks, like the Zhong Kui and the Hades and such. So Most Wanted, interesting things coming out of the mid lane as they practice and get ready for LAN. Noble on the other side with the Chronos and Awilix, a little bit more standard.
So Most Wanted either could look to go their core here or pick up a Hou-Yi for Transonics, which I also like that option, just because he's so good on the god. But they are going to go the Sobek, so I'm a little bit surprised it's not so much the Bacchus, but that's kind of more taking away the easier option for the Awilix pick.
No surprise here on the Most Wanted picks. Bacchus, I'm actually going to... Usually I see the other side. I'm going to severely disagree with you. I think Bacchus into Awilix can be devastating for the team with Bacchus, as long as Awilix is on point, and Noble certainly
Yeah, no, I'm just saying Sobek is the easier one, because he has the pluck as well as the guaranteed multi-man knockup, whereas Bacchus has to use his escape to kind of get in, which can turn against him.
There you go. See, that makes sense. And then Most Wanted goes ahead and takes away 2 tools. Sobek and Vulcan are both valuable within Awilix on your team, so Most Wanted picks it. And then again, we're seeing the Fafnir.
He's incredibly useful, especially once you get into late game. Once you're in that dragon form, the AoE Coerce, it is an unmatched stim on a character, right? Obviously, you have the likes of the Frenzy, and we actually have started to see that picked up in a couple relic spots, but the 50% attack speed for your entire team, right? If you're in their circle, the Gold Furies are getting shredded, towers are getting shredded, players are even getting shredded.
It's a throwback to the old Odin shout, as he's banned in a much different scenario these days. But, you know, Fafnir is one of these characters that on the PTS, when he first came out, everybody's saying, hey, he's bad, he's not going to be good, this, that, or third. He's seen very much success here in the console league, and a lot of it, as you said, has to do with his utility.
Well, the bans have been completed here. Jablonke taken away by Noble, and actually Most Wanted banned the Hoi, even though they could have looked for that option, but they did go the Vulcan Sobek instead, just keeping it away out of the hands of Lou, because I would say Transonics and Lou are kind of the same thing. You put a Hoi in their hands, and some plays are going to be made. You can guarantee it.
I mean, both of those guys. Lou, as we said, we noted Lou on Noble before all the roster changes and everything, and you know, Lou on Noble on PC before all the roster changes and everything. He's just been a consistent part of not just Noble Esports, but of competitive Smite and the pro-am scene in general. So he certainly has his hours in the gym.
So this is actually pretty interesting, because you look at Noble, and I want you guys to look at the stats, right? The team stat dictates how many times you've picked a god and then how many times you've won with said pick. Noble have 3 gods that they've actually never played in their 16 games of the SCL, so they're definitely switching up and widening their god pools here. And even on Most Wanted side, right, outside of the Sobek or outside of the Sobek, right, it's kind of the same deal. Now, Susano's typically banned away, but the Loki, the Vulcan, and the Hebo, okay, they're guaranteed for first their styling. That's what's happening. Well, never mind.
I disagree. I think you know, when you're especially when you're a team like Most Wanted, you're heading into LAN right now. You got to practice all the stuff that you're going to head up against. Hebo is a character that you see Paul take up a lot. You're not going to head into Paul in LAN, but you're going to head into Paul next season. You want to make sure you've got a little bit of this. And the Sobek and the Vulcan, I only think the Vulcan is picked to deal with the Awilix. You don't want the Vulcan on the side of Awilix, because since the passive change, Vulcan's been stupid strong. So I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B at the end of the day. I think Most Wanted preparing for LAN a little bit, practicing some things that they not necessarily are used to practicing, but at the same time, this is the perfect arena to go for it.
Well, we'll see how the Habwa duo lane carry works out. Wolves, though, he did play Loki, I believe, last week just once, and a little bit of fight in the jungle here. xCynosurex taken, I think, more than he expected to. And honestly, if I'm yoyoabc, I could probably chase down these people a little bit and, you know, make it so they can't back with potions. Oh, no, Transonics.
So you stick the Hebo in the solo lane or even the jungle, and I say exactly what I just said before. You stick the Hebo on Transonics, and I say he's going to get first blooded.
Oh, the sprint! Not Koiz the god! Hope I burned someone's eardrums out there.
Yeah, you know what?
Noble Esports just missed everything, by the way. The only reason that Hebo got away was not because of the sprint. It was because they missed absolutely everything outside of the Osiris flail.
I'm interested to see how the Hebo works on Transonics, but it's
Most Wanted is styling right now.
I mean, styling usually means that you got to look good while doing it.
Transonics
did not look good doing it. I'm just calling it as I see it.
Who knows? We'll see how they go.
I don't know about that one. But at the end of the day, I just think sometimes teams want to practice things, and that's what the Vulcan pick is about.
I'm down for the Vulcan.
And then sometimes teams want to be a little bit ridiculous, and that's what the Hebo pick's about.
Hey, man, maybe if he brings it out at LAN, though, I'll be completely wrong. Clow resetting his turret there because Hebo a little bit late, so they're just going to be focusing on those back harpies. Speed buff invade is out right now, and Noble trying to secure this, and they should. And it is actually Puka is subbing in right now for the jungle. And I'm pretty sure Noble have had a couple switch-ups in recent weeks on this one.
Yeah, they've swapped around positions a little bit. Noble coming from a couple of different directions ever since Shame really got benched. We've seen a couple of different junglers try and find their spot on the side of Noble. But textbook invade coming out. Word, you're going to put a Loki in the solo lane, or God forbid the jungle. That makes no problem for us. We can go ahead and invade, strip away your buff. Noble succeed in doing that.
I can hear Pecky's raging right now that there's a Loki with a Transcendent start.
Yeah.
Him and Kret are like screaming just math. Math, please. Let me teach you it.
You know what? You
know, hey, if Vulcan had a slow there, Super would have taken an extra hit.
I have been defending the old Vulcan passive for years on years. But going back to the Transcendence pick, you know, when it comes to pure damage, you're 100% right. But Loki doesn't have a blue buff, which means he's going to need the extra mana.
I mean, he doesn't have a blue buff yet. He can go back and get it.
Sure.
He had that bot before he knew he was going to get invaded.
If you're playing Loki in the solo lane, you know you're getting invaded.
That's true. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Well, Noble off to a pretty good start here. They've been invading a couple buffs. They've gotten the speed, and I believe the red buff stole him away. And Noble has about a 500 gold lead. They did drop that first blood, so they missed their bounty, but looking really solid because they've shut down kind of these two carries that are very, very drawing, right? This Hebo and Loki, where these gods, in a typical stand, they're super risky. But if you let them get ahead, they are incredibly hard to deal with.
Story of, I mean, just watch Paul play. Paul plays whatever position we've seen him play a bunch as Vulcan drops the purification, walks away no problem. We've seen Paul play a whole bunch of different positions. And he always brings the Hebo. Whether Paul's going to play in the hunter role, in the mid, we've even seen him go jungle Hebo. He always has the Hebo in his arsenal. And that character is just very dynamic, honestly. I don't want to say you can play him in different positions. It's just at the end of the day, knock-up burst combos are knock-up burst combos.
And I'm down for Paul, but I haven't really seen Transonics play this guy yet. So, I mean, we'll see. I think he's having a little bit of fun with that guaranteed first seed.
Completely, absolutely, completely agree. I think that the Vulcan Loki is, all right, let's try some new strategies that we're not used to.
Which is fine.
And then Transonics is like, hey, I can't make scrims because I found a Jigglypuff. I'm going to pick up Hebo.
Come on, for a Jigglypuff, like at least let it be like a Dragonite or like a Charizard, right? If you miss scrims for a Charizard, I'm like, okay, I understand. My man, it's a Charizard.
Transonics, like once a week, will be like, hey, I'm going to be late in scrims, and then post a video on Twitter of him like, I'm lost in Brooklyn. I'm going to be late to scrims, guys. I'm sorry. Like, Transonics, very funny dude for Most Wanted. He'll be here at LAN, so you'll definitely get to see him on camera a little bit.
Well, Puka on point again here, going to be invading this speed buff. Wolves knows it's going on, but he can't really do anything to get there unless he wanted to burn his ult, which would be guaranteed death for him. So Noble Esports continuing to chip away at Most Wanted for now. 800 in the lead. At only 3 minutes, that's very significant for not a single kill on the board. It's just been constant invades, and now trouble for Cloud. No purification. It was burned earlier, and he is chain CC to death, but he does hit Puka, who's able to jump away.
Feather step, very important. Grattywind spends all that time ulting, and he's going to jump right out of the tower. Not too big of a deal, but first blood going the way of Noble. So they're off to a good start. And, a question I wanted to ask you, Kevin, was talk about splitting hairs here, because everything's going right here for Noble so far, is they're stripping away the speed buff. Transonics gets really smoked.
I don't know if I'm assuming Lou had jumped there, but didn't want to risk it. Also the wet paper.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't know. Like, Transonics body blocked the Anhur impale, which is, good. Like, that's a counter, right? Because it doesn't go through gods. But that makes sense on a support, right? If you're a Bacchus or a Sobek, you're like, okay, you're not going to be able to clear the wave because I'm going to But he body blocked as a Hebo.
And that right there is the experience. You can do that on a hunter, no problem. One, you've got a little bit of lifesteal or sustain some way, right? You've got a little bit more HP and robustness to your character. Hebo, one of the more fragile characters in the entire game, not so used to taking that impale. So
what were you asking me before that, though?
Right here, Puka's going to go ahead and gank this Loki.
Oh, Wolves is dead.
Yeah, Loki drops the ultimate, and without the escape, he probably dead.
Maybe. He's slowed. Come on,
Smart
Noble.
play, good job. So my question is, Noble has been stripping away this speed buff. I kind of think it would be more impactful to strip away the mana buff. They're getting the speed buff away from a Susano.
I mean, really, you're going to bring more usefulness to Puka if he has the double speed and basically has his speed buff online the entire time, because you can actually see if you look at the minimaps, you've got the timers there, and so once he invades that speed buff, he's going to get 90 seconds use out of it and then be able to grab his own. So he's going to be permanently moving faster because of that. It's also going to make it harder for Susano to gank. The Loki's going to be fine no matter what. He's level 7, he has his Transcendence online, and he's not trying to fight at all, except for that time where he just tried to fight an Osiris for some reason.
That blue, I mean, Loki without a blue buff makes those decoys really problematic. Transonics going to lag out a little bit there.
I don't know what a worse play was, dying to archers or trying to take an impale. They're both pretty bad. Missed, though, and Klaus should be able to escape this, but he's actually going to run right into a time stop, and a little bit of trouble for him. Impale secures the kill, but Lou purifies the pluck.
Nice shot with that last hit out of Lou, knowing exactly what he's doing. Noble's bringing their A game. Most Wanted, not so much.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this game, man. This is the most. At least
this game
at least it's not envy, right? At least we're not envying it, right? They're still trying. They got behind early, playing a very dynamic composition, and now it's going to be very hard for Most Wanted to fight back into this. But they are the superior, I would say, team fighters. We've seen, once they group up, things work. But they're really behind in kind of all their lanes at the moment.
Yeah, it's really rough at the moment for Most Wanted. They gotta try not to choke.
And Tom's dying because of this game. That's what he's doing.
I tried to at least make the choke pun. I tried to do something. I'm losing it.
We're just gonna have fun with this game, boys.
I'm losing.
We're gonna have fun with this game. That's what we're doing. Gold Fury picked up by Noble though, and they've got about a 4,000 to 5,000 gold lead now. And off to a good start, right? 6 minutes in, having that Gold Fury, having a massive gold lead, and once again, it's going to be the speed buff invade. Puka continues to have such an advantage here. Koiz and xCynosurex are going to try and stop this, and actually a two-man knockup. yoyoabc could be in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the Vulcan ult. It's on the mark. Koiz finishes off yoyoabc, and finally, Most Wanted get on the board.
And they're going to go ahead and keep on keeping on. Not going to finish the Chronos. Thought he might have had that, but good ultimate out of Supra. He's going to walk away, just barely missing the charge prey, but another knockup.
He should be picked up eventually. I'm really surprised, though, that Most Wanted actually didn't cover all the options, and because of that, they are forced to burn Wolves' ultimate. Still, though, it's going to be really good for the Loki right now. Has the Transcendent stacking up. He's going to be out of kind of that really rough early game phase he has. And as long as Transonics farms, he should be fine.
No problem. I mean, Hebo, you kind of expect an early death from Hebo. Obviously, you want to...
It's brutal that you have to expect that, but
like,
yeah.
honestly, you want to avoid it, but Hebo really strikes me as a character like hell, where, like, he's going to go 0-1, 0-2, and then later on...
Oh, wow. That was really unfortunate there.
It was a good mentality. Basically, he was trying to use the ultimate, expecting the knockup to avoid it, because the knockup means he's dead.
Well, the issue was that Koiz actually ran out of mana. So he had like the perfect opportunity to charge prey, but he has no mana there, and Transonics not willing to burn his ultimate in that situation, so not going to be able to pick up the Anhur. Good jukes from Lou overall, though. Really kind of outplaying the Hebo in that situation. Clow pushed up there in a little bit of trouble. He's going to get feather stepped.
Yeah, see, right here, this is why I like these picks here, Kevin, and it's funny because we're watching Cloud just sort of die repeatedly, 0-3 into at the moment. But Vulcan plays very differently from a lot of the mages that Cloud wants to play or Cloud has played.
Yeah.
And like, it's important to play these gods, and don't tell me scrims, because anybody that has been either on a competitive team like Kevin or just around the scene will tell you scrims and the big stage of an actual game are completely different.
And Wolves, actually kind of in a good spot to be able to fight yoyoabc until he gets either that breastplate online. So this is the opportunity that Wolves kind of has on this window. He's also got 50 stacks on his Transcendence as well as the boot, so he should be forcing this. xCynosurex looking for the ult, but Supra, nice juke from him, not going to get knocked up. And yeah, I mean, Clow, going back to the Clow thing, he always plays gods that have some form of survivability.
Right.
You see him go, even when they don't, he'll go into that winged play to kind of enhance that. Vulcan, if he gets caught, he kind of just dies.
Yeah, you got to, and the thing is, Vulcan does have tools to get out of trouble, but they're incredibly technically, I mean, you got to drop the meatball on your feet, find the turret, get the 180 backfires, you know what I mean? They're mechanically intense. It's not just sort of like, well, I dropped my Zeus ult, and then I go bang, you know?
I mean, one of the issues too, right? If you look at the team composition, only the Sobek can really peel for him.
Yeah.
And if the Sobek's trying to engage, it's going to be interesting. But Sobek also has 3 players that he needs to peel for, right? He needs to peel for Transonics. He's got to peel for Clow. And it's really on Wolves and xCynosurex, I guess, to kind of keep themselves alive.
And I mean, you're not getting an initiation from the Loki anytime soon. You're not getting an initiation from the Hebo anytime soon.
He's still going to get the kill. No, he missed.
Oh, I thought he was still getting You all right there, Kevin?
This game is too much for me.
I wish we had a close-up of Adonis right now. He's like legitimately loving it right now.
I've seen that Reddit clip a ton of times, but not in a competitive game.
I mean, that right there, you got to give credit where credit's due. That's less Transonics like being bad and just a fantastic pillar from Anhur. Like, just read like a book. Honestly.
He was probably screaming, "Hey Reddit," when he did that. That's what I would
Lou?
do. Yeah.
Lou's a polite young individual.
Grattywind gonna get picked off there, and Most Wanted actually have evened up the kill, still down in gold. And here comes Lou. Impale was on the mark, but the jet stream just a little bit too fast there, and xCynosurex able to escape, and Wolves just continuing to bully this Osiris though.
Yeah, right now, as you said, before the Nimian line came out was a really important point, but Yo-Yo played it very intelligently. So he realized, okay, I have tier 2 breastplate. Whatever I buy after that is going to really stop this Loki as the double team comes in, and Yo-Yo still sits down anyway. Here comes Awilix. No knockup, but it ultimate puts Susano in a safe spot.
Just barely though. xCynosurex escaping death once again, 2-0 and 3, hasn't died yet. Same with the Sobek, even though everyone abound is kind of dying around him. Most Wanted, though, I mean, now they've got the kill lead, and Noble, what they really thrived off early game was kind of these invades, but now Most Wanted are really finding these kind of odd-numbered ganks that work out in their favor, right? The rotation over the soul lane, we've seen kind of the same deal onto that Fafnir, blowing him up when he goes in by himself, and that's kind of allowed Most Wanted to claw back into this. Noble definitely need to get more on track and look for these 5v5s and these invades.
Well, as we said, right now, Noble have a lot of individual talent on their team with this lineup. I mean, Pook is very strong. Yo-Yo, I think, has been one of the better solo laners in our league, believe it or not. And just watching them execute the smaller things right now, as Most Wanted are on some of their weaker gods, let's say. We'll be nice about it.
Weaker gods. I mean, that's something you could say.
Kind of evens up the scoreline for Noble, in the sense that the individual play that's coming out of Noble is a little bit more powerful than Most Wanted. I mean, yoyoabc uses his ultimate there and bring out the 16% damage reduction to stretch the amount of time that he needs to make the goal to finish his Nimian Lion, because he understands that that's when he's going to get ganked by a Loki, whereas Wolves doesn't have the wherewithal to go on him after that. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is Yo-Yo understands his character more than Wolves understands his. And that's even these teams up.
Well, Gold Fury is pulled by Noble here, and no, Wrath is online for Fafnir, so he does have that secure. Matt Koiz, though, going in and actually trying to get the reset. He does successfully, but he's pulled back in, and the Vulcan ult over the top.
And safety for Yo-Yo. He's going to flip over the side. Wolves make sure Puka can't do the same. Down goes the jungler. Super's in trouble on the left-hand side. Transonics waves goodbye, and a knock-up allows Wolves to find his third kill of the contest. 3-1 and 4 for the Loki. Certainly not as much experience as some other players, but definitely making it happen when it counts. Down goes the Gold Fury. That one's going to go to Noble, so a quick play coming the other way, but Grattywind gets punished for it. Not a 4 read the kills, Kevin, but a 2K gold lead for Noble, thanks to a fast steal by the support.
Yeah. And Noble kind of just walked in there, and no one peeled.
Yep.
Okay. But Most Wanted get a tower and a couple kills, and still down in gold. But I mean, the game's pretty dead even, and that was really just Wolves and Transonics there, right? They have these high burst characters. Obviously, Loki right now, level 16, is incredibly deadly to the entirety of Noble Esports. Even Osiris is 3 levels down, and we saw how influential a Loki who gets just a couple level leads can be. He didn't even have his Yoans online yet. He was only tier 2, but just those boots and that 50 stacked Transcendence just doing so much damage, able to take out one player at the start of the fight. I can't recall who, do a fair amount of damage to someone else, and Transonics also eliminating one-on-one.
And this goes back to the question I asked about, mitigating the speed buff versus the blue buff. Now, I think you're right, and it's not about that. It's about the attention paid to Loki. A lot of times in competitive games, Loki winds up just being a split pusher because he's not allowed to get off the ground. The enemy team just pays so much attention to him that he's not really allowed to do what he's doing right now, which is just murder people. Well, I don't think Noble paid enough attention, Kevin. And now you've got a Loki that's actually playing Loki, something that you see casual players complain about all the time, but higher level players can mitigate. He was never mitigated.
There's also the thing where, Warriors should have a real, outside of there's 2 opportunities for Loki to beat the Warrior. One between level 1 and 3, and that's if they just, the Warriors completely misplay and take a lot of minion damage. That sets up Loki for a kill typically at level 5 just from a little bit of out farming, and he should have kind of that lane advantage because it's hard for the Warriors to walk into them. Or if they have any self-sustain, it's very low, like Tier has to wait till level 3, and it hurts his wave clear. And so Loki, when he gets ahead, will just absolutely shred, and we didn't see, like you said, too many invades. And now even yoyoabc, who's on a warrior, who a lot of times should be able to mitigate this.
Did he miss the ult?
Yeah, I did.
Wolves misses the ut. Ouch, that one's got to stop.
And here's the rotation, and now Wolves has no ultimate. You can see yoyoabc trying to bait him to come back in, but Clow was in position to make sure to help him out.
Transonics still being
Okay,
aggressive.
so I saw the pillar, and the first thing I did was look if his ultimate was on. It was just used, because not again.
Not quite this time.
Not like this, hands on head.
Not quite this time. And again, you know, I got to give credit to Lou there, and I got to give credit to xCynosurex. He takes the kill on the Supra. Wolves make sure Yo-Yo can't escape either. Puka shows up and immediately turns tail. Doesn't want any part of it. Impale's good. Purification gets him out of trouble. There's the ultimate.
Hit him with the
Knock
pillar.
up.
Nah.
Ultimate will be sanked. And this is trouble for the Hebo.
No, this is actually, could be trouble for Lou. He's actually in the minions, so it's going to be hard for him to find the hit. A little bit of the Aussie passive, though, to heal him up. And he's able to tank kind of that water spout, but he needs to find the right time to jump in.
Wow, really strong Sanctuary play coming out from the Anhur right there. That was certain death, unless that exact sequence winds up happening. So credit to Lou again, certainly on his game today. 1-1-0, not really reflecting how strong he's been looking so far.
No, yeah, and the problem right now for Lou, though, is Transonics build, right? He's gone into the Warlock Sash. He's already got 50 stacks, so he's really healthy. And now, he didn't even have this online until just recently, but now he's backed and he has a full Breastplate of Valor. It's going to be nigh impossible for Lou to kind of 1v1 this Hebo now. He's going to have to wait for pretty opportune moments.
How much does this hurt what Hebo wants to do, though?
None at all. I mean, it slows him down. It slows him down a little bit, but extended fights are now going to be beneficial to him, where typically he doesn't like beneficial.
Sure.
But I mean, once he gets another magical item, once he gets like an Obsidian Shard and then a Tahuti online, he's going to be doing the exact same thing. Maybe it's a little bit less damage, but because he has a lot of guaranteed poke with the Susano and the Vulcan, they should be in the range, the health range, for him to just 100-0 combo people.
You know, I think you bring it with Vulcan. A lot of times, players will say that, you know, Vulcan and Hebo have very similar damage when it gets to late game. Vulcan's just a little safer. Hebo is the most unsafe place I've seen him all game. Puka jumps on top. There's a Feather Step and an ultimate. Hebo's still alive and still around here, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, he did a really good job of juking out a lot of abilities there, and it was hard for Noble to kind of hit them because the wet paper, I mean, it's so much movement speed, and when you're on top of it, it is very hard to lock down a Hebo. They're also immune to slows, same with the team, and so he's just able to successfully juke out everything. Now, Clow has actually made a wrap play to make it hard for anyone to kind of retreat from that tier 1, and Wolves 1 health, but he actually is able to juke out, yoyoabc. Cloud still finishes him off, though, over the wall.
No, I think you were right the first time. That was a little funny, the way Noble handled that one. Couldn't find it until the very end. And now a good backflip is going to save the life of the Hebo one more time. Transonics finds the escape on the backside. Still looking for these knockups. Might put him in a precarious situation, but Sobek able to ease the blow.
And actually, Grattywind in by himself, but now he's got Lou around. Matt Koiz going to find one fling, but the issue also is he's run straight into xCynosurex. Lou pulled back in. Stormkata gets the last swing, and now Most Wanted in position to do this Gold Fury, but they do have to worry about the Wrath. And I don't know if they know the cooldown on this, but Grattywind had already used it in the last engagement.
You've got the Wrath and a couple of other players, and honestly, Noble didn't need to do anything fancy to steal the Gold Fury last time, so Most Wanted certainly aware of that one.
So Gold's still even right now, right? I mean, Most Wanted have a little lead, 1,000, but 20 minutes in, it's pretty negligible. It's a couple wards, right? Maybe a tier 1 on someone. And really the issue is the experience, because Most Wanted have been winning so many fights and just always in position to farm efficiently that they just have this massive advantage in leads, mostly on Loki, but also 2 levels in the jungle, as well as 2 levels on those carry positions.
Why is Hebo up 2 levels?
Because Luke just keeps getting bodied in the 1v1, and now it's actually impossible for him to fight. The rewind comes out, but I mean, Supra is not the healthiest as he is right now, and it's kind of funny because Loki is getting his waves proxied now.
And there's the ultimate right on top. Supra gets dunked on. Clow from behind the tower finds a kill on Vulcan. He's loving it. Osiris, on the other hand, misses the ultimate. Backfire gets Clow out of trouble. And here comes the cavalry, Kevin. Everybody on the side of Most Wanted is here on the right-hand lane. Wolves picks up one. They're going to hit the gas as well. Puka on the backside. Grattywind's going to follow suit.
Wolves wants
Not
more.
allowed. Wolves gets two. And one more left is Grattywind. It's all about who's going to pick him up because we know he's not going to get any kills himself.
He pops a sprint, though. Tier 2 on the right-hand side is going to fall in favor of Most Wanted. But Lou does manage to answer back in some capacity, successfully getting that Tier 1. But the issue was that Transonics was in that fight and did so much damage, and Lou just wasn't in position to answer back. And because of that, Most Wanted, once again, win a team fight heavily. They could even look for this Gold Fury, and now starting to have a realistic gold lead at 3,000.
Yeah, it's just the way that they've been able to play as a team. And early game, when it was all about the individual skill, I mentioned, Noble had a little bit of an advantage. We watched some small things come out from Osiris versus the Loki. We watched some small things about Anhur versus the Hebo, which were just, I know my character better than you know yours. And that works in the early to mid game. But as we transition here in 21 minutes, Kevin, it's more about the team. And, well, we see why Most Wanted is clearly the #1 squad in North America.
I do have to take one thing out of this game, though. And that's Clow's Vulcan has actually looked pretty good with his ultimates. The placements of them, they always seem to be on the mark or, at the very least forcing players into a position they don't want to be because they can't run into the Vulcan ultimate, so they're forced to run back into Most Wanted. And this is maybe something that he could look to bring out at LAN. This is definitely an experiment for him specifically.
I mean, Vulcan is a character that both strikes me as a Clow character and is currently popular in the meta choices overall. 3 on the left-hand side, that is a dead player.
Eventually. He's going to jump forward, run straight into Clow, giving him another kill, and it's going to be a Tier 1 on the left-hand side. Loki's actually fighting yoyoabc over on the right, and it's actually a very close battle. Wolf still has ultimate, so does yoyoabc. They're going back and forth, but it seems like Loki's decided to get out of this one.
Yeah, it's all about the story about the towers here. Transonics going to get stunned out a little bit. Not too big of a deal.
And Koiz is taking this way. This is going to be a successful Tier 2. And Wolves seems to have stayed alive, but yoyoabc chasing him still into the jungle. He needs to be careful, though, because Most Wanted's entire team is around.
We'll see how this one works out. Objective being started. As you said, Most Wanted's entire team is around. So is Noble. They might have something to say about this, but as soon as I see Yo-Yo backing, I don't think they want any part of it. Gold Fury goes down, and with 23 on the clock, Noble trailing by 8,000 gold. Most Wanted has been able to turn this one around.
And now we start to see that 2K and 1,500 lineup. Obsidian Shard is finished for the Hebo. We've got some magical protection now coming online for Koiz, so he's going to be even harder to kill. Clow going to be working on this Rod of Tahuti and magical defense for the Susano just to stay alive. And then a heavy hammer for the Loki, chasing you down to death.
Oh, yeah. And a very interesting build coming out from the Loki here is Yo-Yo starts to Fire Giant.
Lou's around, too, so he's going to be fine. And they do have a Fafnir, so this is something that they could look to do is try and sneak it. The issue is Most Wanted's already ready and waiting, and Wolves finds his, I think, 3rd kill on yoyoabc alone.
Yeah, and there's a blink forward, an excellent ultimate, not enough to take out the Hunter, but a quick water cannon certainly will. Transonics with the 3rd kill for himself.
Okay, Tier 5 skin. A Hebo poolside in skin. Pool party Hebo, dude. It's got to be a Tier 5, so it's got to be like, I don't know, it evolves. But you feel me here? Like at a base level?
I mean, I'm down for Hebo. All I know is the community voted Mage. I'm voting Ao Kwang.
You just want everyone to hate you, don't you?
Yup. Say yes to assassins.
Well,
say yes to assassins.
Well, Noble is hating Most Wanted right now as they start to siege up their Phoenix right-hand side. xCynosurex is isolated by himself, but he's got a speed buff, and he is Susano, so he's going to stay alive for now. No one dies under the Phoenix, but it is successfully defended for now. Noble holds still down 10,000.
I'm so happy that, and again, like we said, Transonics on the Hebo, probably not practicing much. Probably just having some fun. I legitimately think that the Loki and the Vulcan are characters that most wanted to try things out with. Specifically the Vulcan. Cloud bringing him out here. Like I said, Vulcan has risen to prominence, whether it was a passive change or not. Vulcan has certainly been a very interesting choice right now. And it also strikes me as a god that Cloud can play relatively, like a god that would fit in Cloud's repertoire.
And even right there, right? He ults really far away, but that forces the Osiris back into Evo, and he at least has to ult as well.
Make a choice. Either you run into my damage or you run into my damage. Right, like either my ult or my teammates. Either way, you're going to be in trouble. That's what a good Vulcan ultimate winds up doing.
Loki, really low, has his ability. Oh, and the knock up through the stealth. Pookadabear finds him. This is still going to be most wanted winning this fight, but that was a really nice play.
Just beautiful prediction. Wasn't an accident either. That's not just RNG. Puka predicts the spot, gets the knockup, finds the kill, takes out the invisible Loki, but power in numbers. Most wanted answers back. One for Transonics, one for somebody else. Everybody's getting their pick of the litter here, Kevin.
Grattywind just running in circles as best he can, and he's going to fall eventually. His sprint has fallen off, and Matt Koiz, he gets on the board. 2 kills for him, 0 deaths, 14 assists, and now it's just up to yoyoabc. Supra has respawned, but it's going to be a 5-on-2 to defend this Phoenix.
And this is the downside of putting a god like Hebo in the hunter role. If you don't have somebody on the other side, this Phoenix, we saw it on the tier 2 on the left side before. This Phoenix is going to take longer than you're used to take down.
Well, the issue also is that they have not only the Habwa, who, you know, it's going to take longer for him to get in, but also a Loki and a Susano. So it's dangerous for them to kind of sit in the front line tanking with Matt Koiz.
Hot ultimate from both Transonics and Cloud.
Actually, Noble starting to answer back here. They've picked up 2 kills, but Puka chased under by xCynosurex as well as the Loki here. And Cloud just doing the best he can to juke Yo-Yo, smelling blood. He wants the kill, but it doesn't matter. Cloud walks into the Phoenix, and he could be picked up here by Grattywind. Nice hit on the hammer.
But he's a dragon now. Over the wall, not quite. Ultimate, not gonna really do
Look at how
much.
slow he is on that wet paper. Just slowed for days. Still trying to chase out Transonics, who is very low on mana. I don't think he has enough to escape this one. Grattywind could look to chase him down.
Grattywind, looking for it, can't find it. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool dragon. Jump, stun, anything else? Do we have the kill on Transonics?
He's trying. He's trying real hard. Transonics just needs to run straight because the slow is out from the Loki, and there's the ultimate canceled out. That was time-based, though. He ran out of time, man. Should have been a dragon longer.
Spent too much time running around from Godzilla to Godzuki, just like that.
Speaking of Godzilla, you see the trailer for the new Kong movie, or the poster?
No.
They're gonna do a King Kong versus Godzilla movie.
Well, if it's
the guy who made the Godzilla movie from 2014 is also making this Kong movie, and so a couple of years later they're gonna do King Kong versus Godzilla.
I mean, if it's not branded Rampage, I'm gonna have an issue with that.
No, King Kong versus Godzilla has been a thing forever.
I know.
That's old school.
But
Rampage came after that.
I know, but Rampage.
Rampage is based off of that.
Totally
Don't give me that.
Now Transonics trying to get something based on his own. Gets 2 people with 1 knockup. Xynosurex does the same thing, doesn't want to be outdone. Here comes a couple of hits. Transonics finds Pookadabear. Still has the ultimate available. Yo-Yo doesn't. Jumps over the top.
He's surrounded by 4.
4-on-1.
He can't get out of this one. Curse. And it doesn't even matter. Just the F6 comes through. Noble, I mean, it looked very strong early, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, most wanted, we're kind of just having a little bit of fun with it. They're guaranteed for first seed. They definitely played to the best of their ability.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was kind of just those gods and how they work, and the fact that, you know, Transonics had almost got picked up at that early game, so they were late to their lane. So we saw we saw kind of the Habwa and the Loki and kind of the jungler xCynosurex get pressured out, which allowed Noble to find those early steals, early kills, early invades. But the issue is, once Most Wanted transferred into team fights, they're just a superior team.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Hebo winds up being Hebo. You get a couple of kills. Very impactful ultimates. Why don't we roll the highlight reel and take a look at some of these plays?
Is this?
So here he is in the dual lane, looking for the 1v1. Great knockup. Watch this. Water spout, impale, and then right down the water. Here comes, oh! JK. JK.
And no one dies there in the end.
No
that was
one.
just perfectly played by Lou. Absolutely. And Transonics just gets read like a book. That's all that happened.
Exactly. Like I said, I mean, we were laughing because it's hilarious. But what it comes down to is Lou just goes, all right, you're looking for the, Hebo always wants Water Spout, Water Hands Ultimate, right? Like, that's what he's looking for. Water Spout, Water Hands, and Lou's just like, do it.
Pillar.
He was just sitting there with the pillar in his hand. Just like, you know what? Why don't we just go for it? So just like...